Steve Huckvale. I'm one of the co-founders of Procensol and I'm Managing Director of Procensol in the UK.
Hi, I'm Tharshula Selvarasa, working as a Senior Consultant at Procensol.
I'm Phil Bye, I'm the Head of Appian Practice for Procensol.
And I'm Tim Clarke, I'm a Principal Consultant and Solutions Architect.
So as a question, what is digital transformation? It's something that crops up all the time, and you know there is an answer to that, and you know you're kind of aware of that because you're delivering digital transformation. But fundamentally, for me, there is a kind of naming problem in that it's different things to different industries. You know, we were recently recruiting for digital transformation consultants. 9 out of 10 applicants that we got, their job was digital marketing, because for them, digital transformation is what they're doing in terms of using social media to market things, you know, on the internet, which is a very kind of narrow scope. And clearly what we do is wider, right? You deliver this stuff on a daily basis. I mean, to you, digital transformation is what?
I think my favourite explanation is to split it in two. So it's a combination of software and tools and transformation, i.e. what maybe we used to call business process management, we now call low code, but ultimately it's a combination of two things. One of them is identifying your processes and how your organisation works, and the other is finding some tools to fix that. And I think we do both of those, obviously.
Yeah, and a digital transformation program is about bringing agility to those business processes, isn't it? It's looking at your organisation and using modern technology to kind of invigorate ideas on how to make it more efficient and how to improve those things. And I think modern technology is really helping drive that forward.
So the digital is just a mode of delivery, right? It's essentially the transformation is the important bit. Yeah. Digital is something that companies worldwide have been doing for a long time, since the advent of the computer. So you know what we're really delivering is business transformation through a digital form.
Yeah, backed up by some powerful tools.
I think there is a big difference what's just doing a digital or being truly a digital. Most organizations, they just think about like they have traditional or analog some process and the products, and they want to just change it to digital format. But that's just a common mistake everyone does. It's not just you are moving from offline to online. It's all about like you are applying the right solution for your problem. There's maybe a problem, that's what you are trying to achieve. But end of the day, you think that I have changed my paper system or maybe a traditional system into a digital format, but it's not really changed. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to truly being digital, it's totally different. Like you try to understand what's your business problem, and then you think about like how your organization structure works. Is it like the departments connected, as you said, the silo model? If it's silo, then we need to think about how can we bridge that gap and connect these dots. Then again, we can think about like probably the working culture, the employees' culture, like are they ready to accept all these changes, and if do we have the enough probably the skill set, do we need to upgrade? So we need to think about all these aspects and then come up with a solution. Have a like long-term, a wider vision, a strategy, then apply that strategy. You can start smaller and grow.
It's very easy, talking about confusion, it's very easy to have a process, go, we'll digitize that process, and you digitize that process, and all you've got is basically the same problems in digital form. You need to do the transformation bit in order to make the actual gains and efficiency savings that are available.
there will be waste steps in your process. Basically, you need to find out those steps and cut down when you just transform that into the digital. Otherwise, it's like you are again doing the same thing again and again.
So that's the difference in the modern age, though, isn't it? The low-code, cloud-based platforms that we're using these days just allow you to iterate over those designs. So, as Phil said, the first time you lay out the process is probably as bad as the offline process. But how many times can you run through that and look at the efficiency gains and really measure the impact? That's what the modern technology brings. And I think, moving a paper-based system to an e-form system is only the first step. True digital transformation is doing it again and again and continually improving it. It's a journey that never really ends. It has to keep going.
Yeah.
I think maybe there's sometimes a misconception of what the transformation is. You made the point that you don't want to just transform the as is and put it into a digital form. So in this sense, we're not talking about transformation from one state to another state. It's an ever-changing thing. It's ever-evolving. As you say, with the agility of the platform, the whole point of it is that you can transform quickly and respond to change.
Well, I think it's less preparing and more catching up. We're already in a digital future. We've had software since the 1950s. People have been, I think you mentioned earlier, Steve, that we've been using computers for a long time. We're already in the digital future. At the moment, it's a case of catching up. And it's finding the right tools to do that catching up and finding ways of accelerating the pace of your digital journey.
Finding the right partners as well.
Yeah.
Although low code has come a long way and does a lot of the donkey work for you, we're still not in an age where businesses themselves are going to be able to make the fullest use of the tools available. You need to work with a good technology partner with a good technology.
One of the things we often find is we have to find and document and understand the processes, and that's something that an organisation can do to start, right, is understand what your processes are. And that might sound really obvious, but we frequently speak to customers where they don't know their processes, right?
I think the important thing though is it's open now to organisations of all sizes. I think transformation programs, used to be big companies could afford to take the risk and to drive it through, whereas I think now with the technology that's available, with the cost points that are available, organisations of all sizes can use digital transformation platforms to achieve the results. And it started with the media outlets. Really, they moved to digital delivery of their content. Well, I think companies with all types of business processes can now use digital platforms.
High level overall strategy, but choose the right place to start. Understand your processes, figure out what your strategy is, and then choose a sensible place to start that transformation journey.
I think that's where the priorities comes into picture.
Yeah.
Because from your problem, which is like the critical one at this moment of time.
Yeah.
Then you prioritize, because in past, from our previous projects, we have seen many clients that they struggle to prioritize. So that's where we comes and just help them, like, this is the platform we have, and you can just try to tackle that with short span of time, because we have the low code platform.
I think as well, from a preparedness point of view, it's important to have buy-in from the whole organisation, or certainly all those areas of the organisation that are impacted by the changes that you want to make. So it's not okay to just have management that has a goal to do X, Y, and Z. The people that are using the technology, or the people whose jobs are affected by any changes need to buy into it as well, and they need to see the benefits.
Yeah, and then it's a case of choosing somewhere sensible to start, and the sensible to start is probably not the £1 million giant project that runs your core business. It's probably sort out your employee onboarding, or sort out your JML, or your joiners, movers, leavers, HR processes. There's a lot of relatively small processes that are great targets for digital transformation that are not big, scary core business things that can help you understand how you should do.
Well, it's incremental, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be as well. I think piece by piece, and I think that helps with the organisational culture changes that you're kind of describing. It is a way of bringing all areas of the business into your change programs, and everyone can have their input, because you can quickly trial different types of process changes, different types of systems to help pinpoint little areas to gain these improvements. So.
Really, I think it may be some sort of misunderstanding or lack of knowledge in terms of the digital transformation. That's where people think about, like, first time. I mean, as a human, we all are like having routines. When change comes to us, we are resistant against that.
It sounds scary, doesn't it? But it's not necessarily.
It does, but if you think about it, every company in the world has been transforming digitally, if you want to reverse it, for the last 50 odd years. We've gone from people having rooms full of filing cabinets full of data. All of this information is now stored digitally, retrieved and displayed digitally. It's been the case for a long time. So actually, digital transformation is not really a new thing. And I think it's become a buzzword and a bit of a phrase and something to kind of hang your hat on. And to some extent, that's kind of been counterproductive.
So, email is an example of digital transformation.
Yeah.
We don't send memos to each other anymore. A digitised calendar is an example of digital transformation. You don't write maybe you do write your stuff in a calendar. Cool if you do. I don't have a paper diary. It's stored digitally. So I mean those are all examples of digital transformation. It's already happening. People might be more familiar with it than they actually think.
I think they have to be, though. As individuals, we've been doing this all the time, always after the latest gadget and the latest shortcut in life. Yet collectively and within a company and an organisation, it seems to be something that's almost feared, or nervously looking around the corner for what's going to happen next. I think we just need to embrace the way we live our lives and bring that culture into how companies operate, because when we're free thinking and we bring technology in, things do improve generally. We do find efficiencies and we do make things better.
I think maybe one of the reasons could be like lack of expertise to take these digital initiatives. Because when it comes to digital transformation, I feel it's always come from top to bottom rather than from bottom to top in an organization structure. So you will find very less people who are more expertised on digital platform in the top level. So basically there is no one to take that initiative. So I think that's where we come and help them to understand their problem and how can they transform into digital format.
So when you look at digital transformation, I think one of the best stories you always talk about is actually one of the world's biggest companies, because Microsoft had this problem not too long ago.
Yeah, absolutely. So, they come in as a kind of newcomer on the tails of IBM. There were operating systems around at the time. Microsoft developed their own operating system. They become this massive play. Most devices worldwide, it's certainly in a kind of consumer context, that somebody sat in front of them had a Microsoft operating system. They went from that to the software. They, supplanted popular spreadsheets that were around at the time. They were a massive dominant player and revenues of billions. Yet, and partly, we talk about digital transformation as being a disruptor. Microsoft themselves were disrupted. Their kind of model relied on people buying packaged software that sat isolated on a desktop machine. The internet came along. That model survived for a while, but it didn't take long before all of the things that they were providing for you were available as services. The cloud became a thing. All of a sudden, Microsoft's in danger of becoming irrelevant. They've been disrupted, and then they become the disruptor. They come out with the 365 suite of products. Everything's in the cloud, everything's delivered that way, and they've completely transformed their business. That is a prime example of a digital transformation. I think if a company is reluctant to move ahead with a digital transformation, it tells you everything you need to know about that company. The keyword there being reluctant, because the people that are innovating, the people that are moving ahead and overtaking competitors are those that aren't reluctant. They're kind of seizing the opportunity, grabbing the bull by the horns, allowing themselves to think outside of the box, allowing themselves to make mistakes even. One of the great things about the platforms that we use today is you talked about earlier, the kind of iterative nature. You can make mistakes and you can quickly correct those mistakes.
Yeah, so this is agility, isn't it? This is you can make more mistakes more often because you can correct them quicker and gain later. So modern platforms allow it. So reluctance is often kind of based on some fear of doing something wrong. So I would say to those that are reluctant, let go of that kind of wanting to control everything to a kind of micro level. Is that part of where the reluctance comes from, though? Because if an organisation looks at an end-to-end process of bringing on a customer all the way through to delivering a service or product, that seems like a really long journey and an expensive thing to change. But digital transformation should be done on a micro level, shouldn't it? You make marginal gains along the way, and at the end, you make a big saving. But you don't have to do it all in one go. I think that's the point of doing this at the micro level. And
that's why a platform works, that's why low code works, that's why running projects and things that you do in an agile way works over the traditional kind of monolithic, huge application delivered in a kind of waterfall way.
I think another reason maybe for reluctance is something like in an organization, usually they try to dictate the what IT does when it comes to the division, because there will be a sales team, HR team, each one of them work differently. But at the end of the day, when you go digital, you are thinking like, we have an IT team and we need to just go with what they do. But it's not about that, what IT teams try to do. It's all about your business problem. So if you are not changing as individual, means your organization cannot change.
I think with the advent of low code as well, and kind of platform based software, that the traditional programmer as a role within an organisation is something that's diminishing and will continue to do so. We're not, you hear the phrase citizen developer. We're not at that stage yet. We're not somewhere where anybody in your business is going to knock up an application for you in 5 minutes. It doesn't work like that. You still need to you still need to rely on the expertise of people that have implemented these things, seen multiple projects. But that doesn't mean that they don't have a huge amount to put into it, from the business.
So our answer to this is all of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's two questions really, isn't there? Who needs it and who can benefit? And maybe they're the same thing.
So in terms of industries, like you say, all industries. I mean, we've worked across multiple verticals: pharma, healthcare, finance, insurance, manufacturing, retail. A whole gamut of industries.
Yeah.
All of them can benefit from digital transformation.
Do you remember when we used to look at those diagrams with industry verticals, and you would look at financial services and pharmaceuticals and all of the big hitters, the FTSE companies and that, and whereas now it's kind of this broadly, anyone who delivers a service or product, that's who benefits from digital transformation, from digital platforms. We all need this agility, and we've delivered across all of these industry verticals, and to be honest, we don't care anymore which one we're working in, because we can see the same problems and we can fix them in similar ways each time.
And I think the low code, what it helps us is you don't need to be mastered in doing that. Still, you have certain features that you can, for an example, you can design a business process. You don't need to be mastered in that particular platform. Still, once you see that, you understand that I have a certain drag and drop features. Let me just draw a business process. Then you can just show it to your IT team. They can take it from there. So this is pretty much valuable feature, I would say, from local code platform.
You see, their eyes light up, or the smiles on their faces, because you fundamentally changed what they were looking at previously in a matter of minutes, and they're like, "You've done that so quickly," which is good, because it kind of stokes interest that they can do it again. They can make the next suggestion, and then we can revert back and try something different, all whilst they're sat there with you in the room.
Like you say, going back to those small incremental gains.
And that's a valid point. Actually, just 2 days back, I had an experience. One of my clients, they just come up with a new requirement, and they were thinking it would take weeks to get it done, and they just come and spoke to me about this. How long would it take to get done that new feature? It was just 2 days. They were shocked. Oh, it's just 2 days. Did I just think about it's too much. It's like how we are moving towards more advanced feature platforms. So it's you can get it done quickly, anything.
Yeah, you don't need a degree in software engineering. You don't need 5 years of experience to put these things together. You just need imagination and the want to change.
Yeah. So I think, so the question is actually who can benefit. The answer is everyone.
Mm-hmm.
The point of entry is lowered. The ease of development is far easier and quicker than it used to be.
Yeah, idea to solution, that time has shrunk massively, hasn't it? And, modern tech, modern platforms, that's what we're seeing.
And add in the integration capability of a modern platform as well. And people might be a bit scared and might think, oh, well, I kind of want to do digital transformation, but I've got a CRM over here, and I've got we use some Google stuff over here, and we use another system over here. Well, you can pull all that together, and you can pull it together in a matter of weeks. We're not talking months here, are we? We're not talking years. We're talking weeks of time to put this stuff together. And that, in my experience, even taking 2 or 3 disparate systems or disparate bits of information and putting them together on a screen is a revolutionary change for a business, right? I've been to a lot of clients where I've gone, I'll just quickly put that together. And they look at it and go, wow, wait, I don't have to go to 3 places for that? And you're like, well, no, of course not. But to them, that's amazing. Suddenly their job has got 1/3 the effort. You go to one place and there it is.
So that idea of a swivel chair user
Yeah.
is always the analogy of an end user having to go from system to system to get all the information together so that they knew their customer.
Yeah.
Whereas now we're putting that on one screen with one interaction. So to start on this journey, I think organisations, they need to understand their own business processes, don't they?
Absolutely.
I think in their minds they already know what happens end to end, but have they drawn that out? Have they written it down? Have they measured where the pain points are? And I think that's where you start on a digital transformation journey. You need to understand your processes. You need to measure the outcomes and just pinpoint those areas where you can make small gains, large gains with minimal effort.
And that's a technology agnostic enterprise. You don't even really need to start thinking about, should I get platform A or platform B? But what you should be, you need to understand what your people do, when they do it, how they do it, and get that map.
Yeah.
And then once you understand that, you'll even just that exercise is an extremely beneficial one to execute. A lot of the time the process is in people's head, right? Like it's just in their head. They know that they go to screen A, screen C, and screen J, and then print something off and send it to someone. That's a very common situation. If you went to ask the manager or their manager or the manager above them or the CEO, what does that person do as a process, they wouldn't be able to tell you, or they'd get it wrong.
I think once you know the problem, then it's choosing the right technology matters at all in here, because you think about like the return of investment, but end of the day, we know everyone that market change. It's the change of market is like too high, and you are choosing something today, and you shouldn't end up when you go live. But market expect by that time is differs from what you have developed. So you should be on track every time that if you are going digital means, okay, this is the market expectation and I'm on top of it. I'm not behind it. So that matters a lot.
And possibly choosing where to start.
Yeah, but I feel like before start choosing where to start, first of all, we should come up with a wider vision. Then only you know that where to start.
Because like a future state.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you will start small, but still you should have a wider vision in your mind, and you know that this is where I'm striving towards.
Yeah, you need a kind of strategic
plan.
Overall plan that you need to understand where you're going to end up.
It doesn't need to be final and strict, but still a kind of a plan in mind.
I think going back to something you've said previously as well, think outside of the box. Don't just repeat what you already do. Think about how you might want to change things, how you might want to do things differently. Yeah, allow yourself to think beyond the existing state.
There's an old is it a BPM adage of the 5 whys? You heard of that one? Where you ask why 5 times, and once you've asked why 5 times, then you know that's actually the answer. And why do you do that? Okay, why do you do it like that? Why? And then eventually you end up right down at the bottom level of the reason for doing something. To drive more about driving the requirements side.